You know they're coming. You know they're coming. Soapbox rants. We're going to bring our fastball right off the top on our show. But first, a metaphor. Ethan Inman is sick. No. He's not sick about USC. He's not sick about Lincoln Riley. No, he really is sick. Again, a metaphor. But Ethan Inman, despite being sick, not feeling well, he's a Trojan. He's a warrior. He fights on. He's joining us on our show. So we appreciate Ethan for powering through, but he's playing hurt tonight in the Voice of College Football. Again, metaphor alert, metaphor alert. I have plenty to say, but I give the floor to my colleagues first. Crash Lit Collier, your soapbox rant as we vent our frustrations. We give Trojan fans therapy after the loss to Oregon.
Yeah, so that game, while there are definitely some positives, I think obviously I thought the offense for the most part played pretty well. Obviously, they had to go up against a really good Oregon defense. Shade Mayava wasn't perfect, but a lot of it was. The offense, well, and when I say the offense did a good job, I'm more referring to the receiver, to the pass game. The receivers, I thought, did a good job. Yes, Mayava had a couple picks, not great, but they could not get anything going on the ground. And as we've discussed a lot on this show, if you want to win the Big Ten, run the dang ball. So that was just frustrating. Obviously, I mean, you do have to factor in the injuries. Wayman Jordan, Eli Sanders out. King Miller having to face his toughest test so far this season. But it's still just, frustrating that they just couldn't get anything going on the run game. But still, where I'm really frustrated was just the defense and the special teams. The defense, I just thought just at times, as we've talked about, just are the linebackers. I just feel like they just couldn't get anyone, just couldn't stop anything Oregon had. And it was just frustrating. I'm just frustrated, I guess, just with that. And then the special teams. I mean, normally I try to give Ryan Sayeri a pass for, the kick out of bounds. Just, mistakes happen. And for the most part, he's had a pretty good year. But just that missed field goal is not what you want to see. So that was frustrating. And obviously, the punt return for a touchdown. Hate to see that. And then maybe I'm being a little sensitive about this, but I didn't even like how USC ended. Even after the game was all but over and USC got the ball back with, 5 seconds left, I would have at least hoped that they'd try to pass it and at least look like you're trying to win. Like, I was like, that somehow is ticking me off more than almost anything else that happened in the game. Just because at least, like, even if it's futile, and at least if you go for the Hail Mary, at least it's like you're going out swinging, you're going out fighting. Just trying to run the ball like that and just run it right into traffic, which hasn't even worked like all day, by the way. You try that, it just feels like you kind of just gave up. So it was just, everything just happened was just so frustrating. I was just great. Like, especially with everything on the line. Playoff spot, game day there. Even my brother, who is not known for going to games, and I didn't even make it, he ended up going to Eugene for the game to check out game day with some buddies. So just with everything going on, just how big of a game it was, it's just frustrating just to see just USC. It wasn't like what we talked about where it's just, Matt, what's your your Federer versus Nadal? I think it was that Wimbledon match. I forget the year, but that one where it just goes 5 sets, you're trading blows. It's just like, it's not like that example where it's just like maybe Oregon was just a little bit better. It was just like there was just a lot left, a lot to be desired of USC. So I think that's just where I find it really frustrating. So that's kind of just what my just initial thoughts were, just watching the game and just as, just that game kind of fell apart, especially just USC couldn't seem to stop. USC would score, but then Oregon would counter right back and was never like comfortably behind after in the second half of the game.
Ethan, you have the floor.
Thanks, Crash. Appreciate it. Thanks, Matt, also for the intro and mentioning to everybody that I'm feeling under the weather. I think perhaps because I'm feeling under the weather, that's informed my take on this a little bit. Obviously after the Illinois game, I was very angry, and I think I'm going to remain angry about that game all off season. After the Notre Dame game, I looked at the bright side and I said, hey, we can, this loss doesn't hurt us that much if we kind of keep plugging forward and rebounding and kind of learning from our mistakes here and all that kind of stuff. I think while I am certainly a little angry, While I certainly have a little hope for the future still, after this game, I just feel sad. Like it, like, I don't know. It's because I can't say I didn't expect it. Like it's not that, I had such high expectations going into this game that like USC was going to come and surprise the country and run away with it. Like we, starting back in March when we started, this partnership, Matt and I, and then Crash joined us later, we've kind of like consistently labeled this game as a loss. Like it's not like any of us were delusional about USC being a better football team. And like, yeah, USC made mistakes that should have kept them in this game if they wouldn't have made them. And Oregon made mistakes that were kind of allowed USC to stay in the game. But if we're being honest with ourselves, like there was one clear stat that showed that Oregon is still a better football team than us regardless, which is the in the running game. Obviously, I think Oregon had like 170 yards and we had like 50. You're not going to win football games that way. It's just not going to happen. And Oregon did that, down their top 3 wide receivers and down like their top 3 offensive linemen. So, you can make all the excuses for USC in the world that, they were missing a bunch of great players and, that contributed to the loss, which it certainly did. But I think it just goes to show that the Oregon program's in a better place, and it's just what we expected. And so I'm just like, I'm sad, guys. Like I probably have invested more into this season than any, like I'm an alum. I've been a fan for a while. And so I cover this team professionally, like for a job, for this podcast and also for Trojans Wire. But I also, care greatly about this team as a fan. And so like to have invested so much and to, have had it gone on this long, just for it to end in such a familiar way, it's just really disheartening. And so if you're sad like I am today, I feel for you. I feel you. And, hopefully we can get some answers to this stuff fast, because it sucks. It sucks to feel this way. And I certainly hope I don't feel that way anytime soon. And, we're not repeatedly back in this place next year.
All right. I was about to launch into my rant, but Trojan Dale Y comes up with this comment. Last 2 years, our recruiting classes were 15 and 18. So how do we think we are going to beat Oregon, which recruits in the top 5 every year? That's my entry point, because that really caught my eye. So here's the thing. Does Oregon recruit at a high level, and has the recruiting, the stars mattered for the Ducks? Yes, it has. Not going to deny that. But here's the thing about stars and recruiting ratings. Kurt Cignetti does not have 5 stars in volume, in bulk at Indiana, okay? And it doesn't matter how many stars you have, 1, 5, 10 million. You can be smart whenever you take the field. You can be disciplined whenever you take the field. I don't care how many flipping stars you have, all right? Recruiting rankings have nothing to do with how disciplined a team is. And here we are, year 4, game 11, and it's the same old crap. Way too many penalties, way too many undisciplined moments, just way too many mistakes, just giving points, yards, possessions away. That is not a star thing, okay? Oregon recruits well. Dan Lanning has a good thing going. He's a really good coach. He's a better coach than Lincoln Riley. And it's that last part that really matters. And Oregon did make its share of mistakes. Like, that was the thing in the pregame show. If Oregon plays an elite game, knocks it out of the park, hey, tip your cap. Too good. You're better. But Oregon left so much on the field. And USC wasn't even that. Oh, what's the word? USC wasn't even close. Let's go to the big board, shall we? This is what really gets me. Shotgun Spratling, the 247 journalist, USCfootball.com. USC head coach Lincoln Riley says this game tells him this team is close enough to be a sequence away in a heavyweight fight. Just going to let that linger for a few seconds, just so you drink it in. All right. Don't need to see that any more than necessary, but I needed to kind of just let it be there in your, searing your retinas for 5-6 seconds, just so that, okay, you saw it. So you can't unsee it. All right. It's permanent in your memory. Lincoln, this was a 15-point game. If Oregon plays a cleaner game, it could have been 25 or 30. Yeah. You're not close. Shut up. And okay, I get it. Like 2026 recruiting class. We'll get more depth. We'll get more quality, and then get another recruiting class, and then we'll be where we want to be. I get it. I get where that quote is coming from. I get it. But there are times when you just keep your thoughts private, right? You privately, personally think that you're close, but after losing 42-27, when Oregon did not play its best game, no one wants to hear it. Like, do you respect your fans? I don't think Lincoln Riley does. He's in his own world, and it's what Ethan has said so many times. He likes being the smartest guy in the room. Wile E. Coyote, super genius, right? And we all know what happens to Wile E. Coyote, super genius. The bomb blows up, and the Roadrunner is 1,000,000 miles away, right? That's Lincoln Riley right now. Shut up. Read the room. Respect your fans. No one wants to hear about how close you are. And let's just briefly go over that point. Oh, we need a couple more recruiting cycles to get where, we're really competing for a national championship. Whose job was it to have USC competing for national championships? It's Lincoln Riley. Like, he's being paid $1 bajillion. So Lincoln Riley's talking about, I need 2 more years. I mean, he didn't say it directly, but that's the implied meaning. I need 2 more years. I need 6 seasons. I need 2027. No. It doesn't work that way. All right. Next year, you figure this stuff out or you're gone. This is 1 year. 1 year. You get 1 more year to really prove yourself. And 9-3 is not a disaster, but you didn't play Ohio State. You didn't play Indiana. You're going to play them next year. This was a failure. USC has had manageable Big Ten schedules 2024, 2025. And so now it's going to get tougher next year. And you know what? Well, the schedule's going to get tougher. Okay, yeah, you're coaching USC. You're supposed to be beating the big boys. So you haven't, even in years when you haven't had the worst possible conference schedule you could imagine. So yeah, you're expected to at least split with Ohio State and Indiana next year. Absolutely. You're expected to win 10 games next year. Absolutely. You're expected to finally get to the playoff next year. USC 0-12 since the college football playoff began in 2014. Lincoln Riley 0-4. So I don't want to hear about I need 2 more years. I don't want to hear about I need 2 more recruiting classes 4 years in. When Lincoln Riley was hired in November 2021, I think the general thought was 2 to 3 years. Need a couple years to grow, evolve, find his footing, adjust to LA, guy from Muleshoe, Texas, living in Norman, Oklahoma, the fishbowl there. 2 to 3 years. And Ethan made the point that in 2022, because the success came right away, in many ways that deluded Lincoln Riley into thinking, I got this thing licked. Wile E. Coyote, super genius. And he didn't have it licked. He retained Alex Grinch. That Alex Grinch was his Acme bomb, right? That blew up in his face. So here we are through 4 years and zilch, nothing, not one conference championship, not one appearance in the playoff. And of course, with the playoff being 12 instead of 4, which it was when Lincoln Riley came to USC, that's not an extremely high bar. You get to lose 2 games per season and you can still succeed at a fundamental level. Fans were hoping this would have been a 10-2 season. Before the season, that was the hope. It wasn't 12-0. It wasn't 11-1. It was 10-2 because that probably gets us in the playoff. And that's why Ethan's going to be angry about the Illinois game all off season for the next 9 months, because USC would be 10-2 if it hadn't lost that game. And of course, Illinois loses to Luke Fickell in Wisconsin, just, twist the knife even more. So anyway, Lincoln, shut up. Shut your mouth. No one wants to hear about how close you are. And the team is still making penalties, Billy Basic mistakes in game 11 of year 4. Do your job better. Like, no one wants your Clay Helton style sunshine pumping about how close you are. And even if that might be true, you just hold it inside, you keep it to yourself, and you just better get it done next year. I don't want to hear any talk about, he needs 2 more years. No, you figure it out. I don't care how tough the schedule is. You figured it out. Next year will be your 5th year. And I mean, if you can't show with the new recruiting class and transfer portal pickups and returning players from this year's roster, if you can't show that USC can really play at a big boy level, you're gone. You should be gone anyway. I mean, you might not be gone, but you should be, And in terms of Lincoln Riley at USC, the 3 biggest games of the year, 3 awful defensive performances: Illinois, Notre Dame, Oregon. Mm-hmm. And 3 biggest games of the year, run defense doesn't show up. 3 biggest games of the year, your ass gets kicked. 3 biggest games of the year, Rob Ryan was a 0, and he has to be out of here. Now that has to happen right now. If Rob Ryan gets retained, it's Alex Grinch 2023 all over again. It's not fun. It's not good to lose, but this was such a butt kicking with Oregon missing offensive linemen, missing receivers. Oregon still put up 42 and could have scored more if not for the penalties and the drop passes. At least this should get Rob Ryan fired, right? Matt Entz did such a good job last year with Eric Gentry missing 2 of the 3 months of the season with an injury. Matt Entz did more in September of 2024 with Eric Gentry than Rob Ryan did with Eric Gentry for a whole season. So one would think Rob Ryan has to be toast. He has to pack his bags, send him back to the NFL or maybe a retirement home, whichever. He can't be coaching this team next season. Also, questions of the special teams coach. Ethan wrote at Trojans Wire. It wasn't just Rob Ryan. Special teams, like the Notre Dame game, big kick return. Do we have to kick out of bounds in big road games? Maybe we do. And I mean, that's the coward's way, but it sure beats giving up 7 in a critical moment. So special teams once again bites USC in the dust. And here's one more Notre Dame Oregon common thread. Both Notre Dame and Oregon were missing their starting center. Now, Oregon's starting center got injured early, but he missed 80% of the game. And Notre Dame was without its starting center the whole game. And it didn't matter. The Notre Dame and Oregon both just plowed right through USC's front 7, both missing their starting centers. So when the same patterns happen, when the same mistakes, the same inadequacies, the same softness, because that was a soft performance against Oregon. We got to call it what it is here at the Voice of College Football. Same stuff happens on the road in big games against prominent teams, and it's the end of year 4. You can't say Lincoln Riley deserves 2 more years. That, okay, the schedule's tougher next year. Well, you just got to deal with it, Lincoln. You just got to raise the damn bar at USC. It's year 5. You're being given all this money. I just think that is the important thing right now for USC football and any USC football fan. Lincoln Riley cannot get 2027 unless he figures it out fundamentally in 2026. And I think we can be adults here. I'm going to say he needs to make the playoff. He needs to be 10-2 next year, but I'll give a little bit. Maybe it's 9-3, but it has to be a 9-3 that's very different from this year. This year's 9-3. You blew your 3 biggest road games, and you got your butt kicked on run defense. All right, if USC is going to go 9-3 next year and Lincoln Riley is going to get 2027, so his 6th season, if that's going to happen, like USC's 3 losses need to be effing classics. They need to be absolute memorable top 5 games of all time. Okay. It can't be a garden variety 9-3. It can't be a pedestrian 9-3, which is what this season was. Notre Dame didn't play its A game. Oregon didn't play its A game. Illinois didn't play its A game. And you still lost all 3 of those road games. And so 4 seasons in, Lincoln Riley can't win on the road. He can't beat good teams. And most of all, number one, like this team just cannot play a clean 60 minutes of football against a good team on the road. Not once. Not once. Not once in 4 seasons has this happened. You know, the Oregon State 2022, that was an ugly ass game. I mean, it was impressive, but it was ugly. All right. So can we just have one complete road game against a good team? I mean, at USC, it should not be too much to ask. You know, Ethan wrote about in the lead up to this game, 2016, the Sam Darnold team that went up to Seattle Husky Stadium and thumped unbeaten Washington. Like even Clay Helton had a click clack, you know, I'm the bad dude coming into your town, pillaging everything. Even Clay Helton had one of those moments. It's one more than Lincoln Riley's had in 4 years. So we go back to Trojan Dale's point about the stars. And Oregon does have the star rankings and the ratings, and it's been consistently good. But Curt Cignetti, man, like that's the counterexample. And Curt Cignetti didn't need 4 seasons to turn around a nobody program with no football heritage. He did it right away. And then he stacked together another big season right on top of it. So like if Curt Cignetti is smart enough to get accountability, physicality, discipline, clean football right away at Indiana, I don't want this belly aching from Lincoln Riley about how close the Trojans are.